All right, we got Mercurial Knight Cookie on tap here today for our topping and biscuit guide. Thank you for tuning in. As always, down below we have today's timestamps where we'll walk through this brand new cookie here. And on top of that, if you got questions or comments throughout, do let me know because I'd love to hear from you and come join us in the Discord server. Let's get into it here as we break this cookie down. On top of that, give you the biscuits and the toppings of choice. Go for a run as we always do and bring things home. With that, we got Mercurial Knight Cookie here as part of the new release. Very excited about this one because it's certainly going to help us continue to progress in Beast Yeast. All the facts due to the reality of not getting hit by the mushroom dispersal and all those things makes a huge difference. And on top of that, very, very important with the new raid. So keep that in mind as well. So a couple things with this particular cookie. It is a charge cookie, a frontline cookie. On top of that, and the moveset here is Mercurial Knight's Oath. It's 11 seconds in terms of cooldown. With the power of Mercury, Mercurial Knight Cookie's regular attacks are strengthened, dealing area damage to enemies and casting Mercury Poisoning. Now, Mercurial Knight Cookie will then land his final strike, dealing damage and additional damage based on the number of Mercury Poisoning stacks. When Mercurial Knight Cookie is inflicted with a debuff, he will gain an amalgamation buff, and when he gains enough stacks, he'll dispel all debuffs and enter Mercury Storm mode. In Mercury Storm mode, Mercurial Knight Cookie will not receive an amalgamation buff due to his Mercurial armor. Mercurial Knight Cookie is immune to the Spore Dispersal, that's what we said, and Mushroom Mutation effects. While Mercurial Knight Cookie is using his skill, he will briefly become resistant to interrupting effects. When Mercurial Knight Cookie enters the battlefield with Silver Bell Cookie, the Silver Knighthood buff will activate. So that's a big one here. So let's see what we got. We got Mercury Glaive damage here at 100% of attack, plus 15.3% damage relative to max HP for cookies. Mercury Poisoning, 5-second stacks up to 20 times. Final strike damage, 506% of attack plus cookies, 58.8 damage relative to max HP per 1 Mercury Poisoning stack. Others, 12.3% of attack per 1 Mercury Poisoning stack. Amalgamation, gain 1 stack every 1 second, activates 1 amalgamation stack every time Mercurial Knight Cookie receives a debuff. And upon reaching 60 stacks, enters Mercury Storm mode. Mercury Storm, attack 30%, attack speed 50%, max HP plus 25% for 20 seconds. Ridiculous. That is a ton of stuff. Now here's Silver Knighthood. You get Silver Bell Cookie's damage resist buff, can't be dispelled. Silver Bell Cookie and Mercurial Knight Cookie's max HP at plus 30%, attack speed plus 50% at start of battle, and White Lily Cookie's max HP on top of that, plus 20% damage resist, plus 30 at start of battle. So huge to have all three of those cookies together. It's going to be a big, big deal. So not just a total standalone cookie. You're really starting to see some pairings here with this particular one and this moveset. And then again, just a ton of stuff in there. And like we mentioned, going to be very helpful for us in episode 2 as well as Beast Yeast, and on top of that the raid. So giving you those tips and tricks early and often as we like to. Now a couple things, let's go ahead and max out this cookie because we can. That's all the way to level 80, my friends. Certainly we could have used that item there. However, we're good to go. So that is the first piece. Additionally, here we can upgrade all this fun, awesome stuff if we need to as well. There we go. I like to get to we'll go 65 to start. There we are. And get that up as well. And now for the biscuits and toppings. First off, we got our biscuits. So a couple things here. We can certainly go on this one here. I do have it on Milky Way. If you caught the raid guide, that's why I am going to equip this one here. So we can do that, yes. Now, again, couple key pieces on this one as you get your legendary biscuits, in this case chewy biscuits, things to focus on. Now we saw that attack in there. You want to get your attack up. That's going to be huge. Cooldown is big and damage resist is big. You want to make this guy super, super beefy. And again, this pairing strategy you can balance with your toppings, so keep that in mind. However, in episode 2, again, those toppings don't quite fully get all the substats in, so you want to make sure that you have the right piece here. You may consider damage resist bypass if you are going to be more on the attack side. HP, defense, defense, and that damage resist is big just for that survivability. So those are all things that you can consider in terms of your bonus effects. Here we got defense. We do have attack speed if we do want to be a little bit more on that. And then additionally, I would just level this up a little bit more. So that is how you want to think about your Beascuits when it comes to Mercurial Knight Cookie. Let's go ahead and talk about our toppings. Now, a couple things with the toppings here in particular. We do want to be on damage resist. So if you're going to run this as your first line main defense cookie, which is how we're going to use Mercurial Knight Cookie here today, that is what you're going to want to do. So in particular, because you're running the healer, you got White Lily on the damage, and then this guy on your defense. That's going to start to base your fairy team as an example and make use and good use of all those additional statistics. So resident toppings obviously recommended when we do have resident toppings. However, in this case, we are going to go with our Solid Almond. Now, a couple other tips and tricks here. You could go, if this one isn't going to be a main defense cookie for you, or your frontline kind of main one, you could go on attack. So having a second attack set of toppings isn't a terrible idea for you as well, and in terms of what you may run into in terms of your team. So those are all key things to keep in mind. Again, in this case though, we are recommending Solid Almond in terms of our defense oriented play here and how we want to leverage this particular build in our cookie, and ideally with the majority of the team that we just discussed. So a couple things here, again, in terms of these details, we're going to take advantage of that damage resist by having 5 of these. Other pieces and bonus effects, similar to what we talked about, damage resist, attack, cooldown, all good ones. HP and defense for additional survivability are key for this particular cookie. You don't want it to be squishy. You do want to get lots and lots of attack in, and attack damage and attack speed isn't terrible as an additional substat there. Now here we have crit, debuff, HP. We got damage resist, crit resist, amplify buff, debuff, damage resist, crit percent, crit resist, defense attack, and cooldown, amplify buff. Not the greatest grouping, but you can always check out our topping guides in terms of statistics and perfection to get the perfect toppings. So being directional is always nice. I would give us probably like a 5-6. We can do better certainly on these. However, these are the ones that we're going to use here on Mercurial Knight Cookie today. So that is Mercurial Knight Cookie for you in terms of Beascuits and toppings. Let's go ahead and go for a run here with this particular one. We'll see if we can get through, yes, all of Beast Yeast. So stay tuned for Theater of Lies here. We're going to fly back to Crispia and get over here to dark mode 829. Here on 829, are we ready? We're always ready with the team. However, we're going to try and make this happen with just our single lovely Mercurial Knight Cookie here, which we should be able to make it work. All right, here we go. Remove there. All right, 196 versus 257. Let's go for it here, my friends, in dark mode. As always, thank you. We got swag and merch available today. You can check that out down below. So there's our move. Look at that. Look at that. Now, all these stacks are going on. As you can see, the amalgamation stacks, they keep going on. Huge, huge, huge. Now we'll stay on auto. Lots and lots of damage here. 1 per second. Boom, look at that. Look at that. Mercury Poisoning. And on to one before the end, my friends. Let's get to that 60. There it is. Attack speed up. Max HP up. Attack up. Dream Whistle is already ours. Attack speed. There we go. Lots and lots and lots of fast damage and hits there. So a little bit different in terms of how this is set up. Again, you can now see exactly how this cookie runs and takes down the baddies here in our runs for CookieRun Kingdom. Now, a couple things here in particular, again, to just rewind and double down on Mercurial Knight Cookie here. because this is pretty sweet nonetheless. We did talk about some of the nice things for this particular cookie with Beast Yeast, the removal of the Spore Dispersal mushroom mutation. We don't have to worry about it, which is really nice for that piece. Also, again, against the raid boss, because that does have that as part of one of the phases, so keep that in mind. And then the team that you can combo there with Silver Bell and White Lily. So with all those things in mind, we talked about the Beascuits, we talked about the key toppings, gave you some options and choices there for that one as well that you can keep in mind in particular to your build. However, again, definitely always top of mind is survival when you kind of have more of the tank mode going on. So with that, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you got a question, if you got a comment, let me know, because I'd love to hear from you and love to see you in the Discord server. Post your Mercurial Knight cookies, your pictures, all that fun stuff, because we love to see it. And with that, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your support. Thank you for the likes and the subs as we continue to grow this amazing community here. On top of that, thank you to all of our members. We do have memberships available to you. It's a nice way to support the channel. You get emotes, icons, priority responses, those kinds of things, and other stuff there too. And we do have affiliate links and merch and swag, so you can check those out. It's a nice, cool way to support. And lastly, there are socials, at me, chat me, as we like to stay connected. We got a ton of things here, always in a great, amazing community. With that, I wish you the best of luck on getting Mercurial Knight Cookie if you haven't, and the best of luck on your runs as always with this one. Stay tuned, because we got more CookieRun Kingdom content coming your way all the time, and in the meantime, we got a bunch out there for you to check out. Enjoy the new update. We'll see you soon. Keep on running.